Link leaves overrated port at a bearing of north, I can't even read that, 32 degrees east. For 2 miles, he again has no sense of direction and changes his bearing to south, 57 degrees east, and continues for 5 miles. How far is he from the port? What is the bearing from the port? Hooray! Bearing's back. Who else is happy? Me. That's all that needs to be happy. As the saying goes, if mama ain't happy, ain't no one happy. If you would, draw a picture. Oh, here's a hint. There's the port. Alright, remember, anytime you have a bearing, you want to consider a set of axes at the point. So north 32 degrees east means from north leaning 32 degrees in the direction of east. That's where he's headed. And he's doing this for 2 miles. And then at this point, he's changing his bearings. Let's draw another set of axes. Now he's going south 57 degrees east. So from south, leaning 57 degrees east. And he does this for 5 miles. Now my drawing is not to scale. So we have 2 questions here. Question 1, how far is he from the port? Then question 2, what's the bearing? Well, we have to do the green, how far is he from the port, before we can actually do the bearing. Well, notice we almost have side angle side. Because we know the 2 and the 5, but we don't know the angle in between the 2 and the 5. Or do we? It's supposed to be the dun dun dun. Why do we do? So close. Alternating interior angles. Well, we did a problem like this similarly in Chapter 6, but we're not in Chapter 6, Toto. We're in Chapter 8. 32 plus 57, does that equal 90 degrees? No. So close, it's 89 degrees. Just because we're off by 1 degree, no, you can't do that. Well, since we're off by 1 degree, we cannot use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out the third side. We get to use law of cosine. So if you would, please set up for the green question mark there. I'll get you started. Question mark squared equals, because I care. That should be the setup. So how do we finish solving for question mark? Square root of it all. Good. Hooray! Let's go to 2 decimal places for this one. 5.35, anyone else get that? Hooray! So that answers the first question. How far is he from the port? 5.35 miles. How are we going to figure out the bearing from the port? Well, that's the thing. My drawing may be off. I don't know if this point is below the x-axis or above the x-axis. I have no idea. Because if this were 2, and that doesn't look 2.5 times this, so my picture might be completely off. Do some more what now? Yeah, how? Yeah, notice we have side, side, side. If we were to find, I need another color. Nope. If we were to find this angle here and add that to 32, that would be the new bearing. So if we want to find this angle here, let's call that angle P for port. What would this setup be to find angle P? Why did you start with 5 squared? Huh? You didn't answer the question. Why did you start with 5 squared? There you go. 5 squared equals. Yeah. You started to trail off there. That's okay. I'll just keep going. Very good. We'll subtract the squares, divide by the coefficient of cosine of P, and then take a cosine inverse of both sides. Eventually, you'll get to P is equal to the cosine inverse of all this good stuff. That's not good. 69.13. Okay, that's not the answer. That's the angle P. To figure out the bearing, we'll have to add the 32 degrees. So what is 32 plus 69.13? 101.13? Well, what quadrant does he put that in terms of port P? Fourth quadrant. Now, when you give a bearing angle measurement in terms of the cardinal directions, remember your angle has to be less than 90. So what do we do? They're going to use a different S word. Supplement, because, let's start to clean some stuff up here. What we just found was from here to here is 101.13. We need to get from here to here. So, since that is a straight line, it's the y-axis, north-south. What is the supplement of 101.13? That sounds reasonable. So in terms of bearing, what would we say? Ding, ding, ding. Now, if our angle that after we added the 32 degrees was less than 90, then we'd be done. We would say north, whatever that angle was, east in this case. But since we had an angle bigger than 90, we had to subtract from 180 to get its supplement. You got 78? It is 78. Oh, Matt. Yeah, so if the angle was less than 90, we would just keep it and just say north angle east. But since it was bigger than 90, we had to find its supplement. Good time.